What's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. I have been involved in the law of attraction, law of assumption, the whole metaphysics space for coming up on 20 years now. I started it back in November of '06 when The Secret came out, um, and I just kind of ran with it ever since. Over those 20 years, I have been back and forth with coaching and helping a bunch of people, and then kind of getting pulled to other stuff in life. I've had great experiences with it, and I've watched everything fall apart over and over again. Um, and it always comes back to the fact that when I kind of get away from all of this is when I get sucked into the the bubble of bullshit that's out there in day-to-day life. Because ultimately, this is not a quick turnaround and do it one time and then you're golden for the next 70 years. This is a lifestyle. This is something you have to actively pursue and kind of stay on top of. And that doesn't mean that you don't have to put all your time into it. But as long as you keep the awareness of it and you remind yourself of it, then you're golden. Because any time in my life that I have seen a negative downturn has been when I've kind of pushed it out of my thought process, when I've just been kind of inundated with life. So, with that being said, I see a lot of people on here, not just on here, but everywhere else, that they push their one specific way of doing all of this, and they put it out there as, excuse me, this is the only way that you can do it. And so many people get involved in this. They get that first wind and excitement of it because it's seems super easy, and then it doesn't pan out, and they either give up, they get bitter about it, they say it doesn't work, they go into this tailspin of constantly searching for the next best thing to make it all work. And I want to cut through all the noise of it. I'm not going to gatekeep anything here. I'm gonna tell you like it is. And yes, I am getting everything set up to take on more clients one on one. Because like I've said, I've done this back and forth where I've taken clients on. I think at the peak of it, when I really was in it for a couple years, full force, I had about 300 clients. Some in person, some online. This one will be just strictly all online. But like I said, I'm not going to gatekeep anything because there's no point to it. Because ultimately, what my view on being a coach is, I don't want to be your coach for 5 years. I want to shrink that time frame and you kind of take off and run with it, because that's how I knew I did my job. I'm not sitting here trying to pull money out of everybody's pockets. That's pointless. There's no need for that. There's more than enough money out there for everybody. I make tons of money from all of my other businesses, and this is ultimately about helping people, not becoming rich off of the same group of people that are still struggling 5 years down the road. If I've got a client that it just isn't clicking with and they've been with me for that long, then I know that I'm doing something wrong. And that's just not going to happen. So, let's cut through all the noise of this. When it comes to manifestation, all that it is based upon is your identity and your assumption of it. So, with that being said, it is as easy as you want to make it be. If you think that affirmations work, great, it works. You're in the awareness that that works. If you think that you can only do it by taking a glass of water and setting it outside from 11:15 to 11:17 on the 23rd of every 3 months or every third month, and once you drink that glass of water, then you can manifest until the next time. Great, you're under the awareness that that works. If you have the awareness that you're trying to manifest, great, you're always going to be trying to manifest. Because at the end of the day, manifestation is only just a reminder that you've already got it. Because you need to set the intention and set the awareness that whatever it is that you want, you already have. So you have to become that person. And becoming that person is not this long, drawn-out process. It's literally instantaneous. Once you set the intention, you are that person. Now, keeping that up is where it gets challenging, because it never fails. Anybody that gets into this, even if they've been involved in it for years, the first couple of days will be a breeze. You're going to be dead set on it. My business is taking off. I'm making $100,000 a month. You live in this feeling of it's already said and done with. You don't question it. And then little things start creeping in. The old view starts creeping in. You start doubting yourself. You start questioning yourself. And that's normal, because you also have to remember that, say you find all of this information when you're 25 years old. You have to sit back and think that for the past 25 years, you have been conditioned from other people's thoughts and opinions about how the world works. Other people's thoughts and opinions of how the world works has no bearing to you and no value to you, because that is not the case. That is not how the world works. That is how they view how the world works. So once you understand that, and you realize that your life has been going a certain way because you have been constantly blasted with X, Y, and Z, that's not you. That's not your thoughts. That's not how you operate. That's how they appear to operate. And that's okay. That's on them. It's not about anything other than resetting yourself to understand that, yes, manifestation is real. The law of attraction, the law of assumption, all of the techniques, they're all real and they work. So now, all you have to do is decide what you want and just be it. If you want to get in incredible shape, great. All you have to do is say, like, yeah, say you want to lose 100 pounds. Yeah, I lose weight really easily. I don't really have to work that hard, and it just falls off of me. The harder I work at it, the faster it all goes, the better I feel. It's all super easy. That's the case. And then guess what? You start putting the work in, and yes, at some points you're going to have the voices pop up in your head like, oh, it's not that easy. You might have this wrong. You've got that wrong. It's really hard to make all the food. It's really hard to find the time. Yeah, of course, if you start becoming aware of that, that's what's going to happen. But the easiest way to stay the course is whenever any of the negative thought processes pop into your head, it's, hey, that doesn't serve me anymore. I know the whole point of you being there is to protect me, because you want me to stay what's comfortable, because at the end of the day, your brain gets the similar patterns and it finds comfort in that, because your brain cannot predict the future. If the brain has the unknown, it freaks out because it likes keeping you safe. This is just how it is from way back when we lived in caves and had to deal with animals and all that shit that would actively kill us. So we needed to keep ourselves safe. So it's okay. From back then, it's okay. We can't hunt at night because this animal can stalk us, and so we have to be aware of that, and vice versa. And it's just kind of carried on to today. Now, granted, it's not the same scale, but your brain still operates the same way because it's comfortable with how it is, because it can predict what's going to happen. If you are upset about something and you put the brakes on, and guess what? It knows exactly how the rest of the day is going to go, so it finds peace in that. So it doesn't kind of fight you on it. Now you try to step out of that to where, let's use money for an example, you are used to making X amount of dollars a month. You pay your bills, you're comfortable. Even if you're not comfortable, you understand what happens. You kind of get the flow of how to live your life surrounded by what you are. It gets comfortable in that. So if you start thinking, for example, say you make $2,500 a month, and that's all you've really ever capped yourself at is $2,500 a month. If you start putting it out there that, like, yeah, I make $100,000 a month, your brain cannot process that because it's never experienced that before. So it immediately starts freaking out, and you start doubting yourself, and you start questioning everything, and you pull right back into the old habits and thought processes that kept you where you were at. And so it finds peace there. So it kind of relaxes as soon as you get back into that mode. But the good thing with all of that is the fact that when that happens, all you have to do is, I don't align with that anymore. I know some people that'll be me like, fuck you. It's not the case. Like, get the fuck out of here. Then I have other people that they feel more comfortable with, like, hey, listen, I know that you were protecting me. It doesn't serve me anymore. I don't need that anymore. This is how it is. And they go about it. Because I mean, no matter what, you're always going to have that doubt, and those old voices are going to creep in for the beginning part. Once you start trying to break the mold, everything mentally is going to come running at you full force to keep you where you're at because it's afraid of change. Your brain does not like change. But once you, excuse me, sorry, I have the hiccups. Um, Once you get the understanding that it it's the old thought process, then it's easy to kind of push past it because there's no reason to doubt yourself. There's no such thing as impossible. Like me personally, I've manifested some wild shit that doesn't really make any sense because logic is it's not real. Like you don't have to be like being logical with all this. All it's going to do is put you in a box and it's going to limit you. And you don't need any of that because I've had some stuff that makes absolutely no sense that's happened and opportunities that have literally just fallen into my lap that has taken me leaps and bounds on whatever it is that I'm working on. And that happens for everybody. But a lot of people will also kind of get into this from the standpoint of that it needs to happen, and if it doesn't happen their life's over and all of that. And if you stay in that mindset of it, then you're not going to get anywhere because all you're putting out there is I don't have this, I don't have this, I don't have this, I need this, I can't function without it. You have to kind of let it go because why would you sit here and panic if you already had your dream job, if you already had the money in the bank, if you already had that specific person? Would you be freaking out, questioning yourself if you rolled over in bed and they're laying next to you, or you check your bank account and it's got the money in there, or say your car's falling apart and you bought a brand new car? Would you be freaking out that your car's falling apart if it's the brand new one sitting out there? No, you wouldn't, because you just have to know that it's already there. Don't question yourself, even if it doesn't make any sense. Cool. Just gotta kind of live in your mind for a little bit and enjoy it. Sorry, need a little drink there. But once you get the understanding that it's all just about awareness and identity, then kind of the gloves are off, because the size of your manifestation doesn't matter. If you're trying to manifest a cup of coffee, or you're trying to manifest move across the country that is going to give you an opportunity to 10x your salary and live a completely different life, it's the same playing field. But that inner voice, that self-doubt, is going to go into an absolute frenzy because it does not want to let up the control that it has. And the entire time, it's gonna be a battle. I've been there, I've done it. It sucks. But if you can keep reinforcing the fact that it's already done, you're not sitting here searching for it, you're not trying to jump on YouTube and watch 10 million different things or find a new technique to make it happen faster. It's already over and done with. Stop stressing yourself out about it. If you are talking to people in your day-to-day, like another really easy one to deal with, because I have a lot of people that have said, well, if I'm trying to live in my head and then the outside world is, I can't just say, oh yeah, I'm making $1 million a month because I'm working a job making $18 an hour, and there's outside circumstances. Yeah, talk about those outside circumstances, but internally you have to put it out there like, hey, this isn't me. This is just conversation. This is no bearing on me. As soon as you start doing that, then you can talk freely and think freely listen to whatever you want, do whatever you want, but you have to just bring it back internally and just kind of put it out there like, hey, none of this pertains to me. I'm just having conversation. Because a lot of people will, again, overcomplicate this to where they freak out and they have to have everything great going on. All it's nothing but positivity, nothing but that. At the end of the day, life's not always going to be positive. It is what it is. It happens. It doesn't matter if you are the most locked in person mentally and you're making bukus of money. Something along the way will trip you up and happen. But guess what? When that happens, you've built such a strong base or like self confidence about yourself that even if something negative happens, you're like, okay, you know what? It happens, but everything's going to be fine. You don't have to stress yourself out about it because say you have a bad month in business, you take off with all of this and everything works out, you're making a bukus of money, and then say your business takes a $250,000 hit. Are you going to sit here freaking out over losing $250,000 over it, or are you going to look at it and be like, okay, wasn't exactly the outcome that I wanted, but hey, guess what? Everything always just is easy for me. I've always got everything that I need. Business is booming. I'll recoup it. It's not going to be a big deal. And then guess what? You're going to get an unexpected victory here to bring in some money, and then over here, and it's going to start adding up. But if you're in that thought process, is the thought process of focusing on that loss, you're going to bypass all of the good, and then more bad's going to start coming in because that's what you're focused on. And that's the same thing with specific people. I mean, it's anything and everything that you want to manifest is the exact same way. A lot of people kind of cherry pick what works and what doesn't work, what's easy and what doesn't. It's not easy. They start putting their awareness on all this stuff. I've talked to a bunch of people who are hard up on a specific person and everything falls apart and they start freaking out about it and they're constantly checking all their socials and doing whatever and constantly in their head about, oh, they're probably moving on, they probably hate me. Yeah, that's what you're putting out there. Of course, that's your awareness that you're gonna be at. But I mean, I've had one person that was trying to, his words is he was trying to manifest his fiance back. So I told him, I was like, you're not trying to do anything. It's already said and done with. There's no issues there. It's back and better than ever. And then she went out one night and she posted a picture from a bar, and immediately he goes into this spiral of she's with somebody else, she's out with somebody else, and I'm like, why not change the story behind it and say, oh, she went out to drink because she's just miserable without you, or she went out to drink with some of her work friends. I mean, you don't have to, you putting the assumption on it of this specific thing, it's just going to mess the outcome up. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are, as long as you can kind of pull back internally and rewrite that story to benefit you. That's all you have to do. It's just a consistent process of affirming everything is working in your favor. Because at the end of the day, it is. That's how this works. Everybody talks about jumping timelines and multiple realities and all this stuff. At the end of the day, we're changing timelines every millisecond. I mean, there's hundreds of billions of timelines that we were on the path of. We just have to pick and choose what we want. Once we pick and choose what we want, all that you're doing afterward is just reaffirming it. You're just reminding yourself. So we've got to stop with being frantic. Once you can stop being frantic, then all of this becomes so much easier, because taking all of that energy out of it, you're using up all your energy in the negative way. So if you take all of that out of it and just kind of stay calm with it and be like, hey, you know what? I can't see it, but it's working. It's already done. That's it. And then stop searching for the validation. Stop searching for the movement. That we don't give a shit about the movement. We care about the manifestation. It is what it is. You're not getting major movement with your person. You're not getting major movement with your money. You're not getting major movement with your job. It's, you see it, you notice it. Yeah, I'm super happy that it's unfolding. It's awesome to watch. It makes me feel great seeing seeing little things here and there coming and falling into place for the big picture, but you don't have the big picture yet. So once you start just kind of taking a step back and taking a breath and realizing that everything is fine and everything is working, all of this becomes exponentially easier, because all you have to do is, let's circle all the way back to this, is the only thing that manifestation is setting what you want and being in it. Stop trying to force it. Stop trying to search for all this stuff. Stop trying to search for clues on the outside or little things here and there to prove that it's in there. You don't need any of that. You just have to believe in yourself. That's really all that it is. This is so painfully simple that so many people think that it can't be this easy. That it's not possible. For all you have to do is just set your intentions and then reaffirm it. Like, that's it. You don't need to reaffirm for 8 hours a day. I do it for maybe like 20, 30 minutes in the morning. That's just because I enjoy doing that. That's how I like to start my day. I do it with my son all the time. As soon as he wakes up, if he's in a bad mood, I'll tell him, like, hey man, it's gonna be a great day. We're gonna have a lot of fun at school. You're gonna get to play with all your friends. You're gonna eat good food. You're gonna do X, Y, and Z. And if he wakes up in a bad mood within the next 20 minutes, because I'm constantly reaffirming this to him by just reminding him, like, hey, your day's gonna be great. You're not gonna be tired. You're good. Let's go get some food. Let's get you energized. Whatever. And by the time he gets in the car for school, he's a completely different person. He's ready to take on the day, and he has a fantastic day. And I do that with myself. I do that with my wife. I do that over everything. Like, once you start embodying all of this, you realize how much energy and how much time you waste on the negative throughout your day. And once you stop wasting that time and energy, you feel like you've got 7 days in one day, because now all of that time and energy expenditure that you've put out trying to prevent, that's not wearing you down anymore. That's not bogging you down. That's not doing anything. Now you have this rejuvenated feeling that you're ready to take on the day. And the difference in that is unreal. And I guess the biggest takeaway from all of this, because I mean, I'm just kind of going on a rant, is stop overcomplicating it. Stop looking deeper into it. You don't have to go extremely deep with all of this. You don't have to have 5 different ways of trying to do this. If whatever feels comfortable for you works. You have to stop searching for the validation. You have to stop searching for the next technique that will work. You'll have to stop searching for the best coach that will make this happen, because it's all said and done. And you have to give up the control of it. You don't need to know the how and the why and all that stuff. I can't tell you how many times I've put it out there for some crazy ostentatious goals, and everybody's like, well, how are you going to do that? I don't know. I don't care about how it's going to happen. I don't need to know that. It's just going to happen. And I don't mean that everything's just going to fall out of the sky into my lap. Is that possible? Yeah. But, I mean, I can't tell you how many opportunities literally just get dumped on me that I can run with, and it works out. I mean, even stuff that took forever to get started or didn't really work out in the beginning, I kind of shifted my awareness on it, and it's like, hey, yeah, I mean, it didn't work out because the timing wasn't right, and some other stuff, a better opportunity would have popped up, and guess what? Almost immediately, another opportunity pops up. I do that with people all the time. I literally do it with everything, because once you understand that you're just in your own way, once you can get out of your own way, and once you realize that all you're doing is overcomplicating it, you just need to take a step back and kind of readjust. It's like a light switch. It's so easy. Because when it comes to all of this, all you're doing is reminding yourself. You don't need to remind yourself for 8 hours a day, but if you catch yourself in the beginning, yeah, I try to have everybody just kind of live in all of this as much as possible, kind of get delusional with it and get obsessive over it, not in like a obsessive way of trying to force it, but just live in it. I mean, even now, I don't need to, but some of the other creators that are on here, I don't really listen to music that much. I listen to a bunch of podcasts I have for years, but I've watched all the episodes of the podcast 5 times over and I'm kind of tired of it. So now, anytime I'm in the truck, anytime I'm by myself, if I'm not really in the mood to listen to music, I'll just put on some of the creator stuff and just kind of let a 30-minute video run. I'm not really paying attention to it. I don't need it, but I just enjoy the content. And that's kind of the same way like with other stuff. Like I get inundated with like tarot readings and inundated with manifestation stuff on TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that, and it all says the same stuff because that's what I'm aware of. Everything is the exact same shit. I know everything's going to work out for me. I'm not searching for the validation of like, oh, I need the proof that I'm on the right track. I need other people to tell me that I'm right. I already know I'm right. I just thoroughly enjoy the content. So you can it's all just shifting your awareness on it and the meaning you put behind it. Once you get that down, everything is just going to fall into place, and you're going to be kicking yourself thinking like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, I spent 3 years trying to do all this and all I've been doing is running in circles, and all I needed to do was just kind of take a step back and get out of my own way." Um but yeah, I mean it's literally that easy. It's we are our own worst enemies when it comes to all this because we get in our own way. We overcomplicate it. We think that it can't be that easy because that's what we've been conditioned to do from other people. You hear it from everybody. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work hard. You have to have an education. You have to do X, Y, and Z. When it's not the case. Prime example is last year. I've owned a painting company since I was 18. Worked for myself majority of the time. Um, I was comfortable with where I was at. I was making about $80,000 a year, but I picked and chose whenever I wanted to work. Half the time I didn't market anything, half the time I didn't really put any effort into it because I knew that everything works out when it needs to. I make a couple $1,000s, I can coast for a little bit because finances are all good. I can put my energy into the things that I want to do. I can put it into the house, my family. I was able to take care of everything that I wanted to take care of while still bringing in incredible money. Um, and anytime that I put it out there that once I hit X amount of dollars in my bank account, then yeah, I needed to work again just to re up it. And it never failed. I would get a small job. Sometimes I'd get a small job, and that would lead into something exponentially bigger. Or I would get a call from one of the realtors that I know. I'd get a call from a homeowner that had gotten my information from somebody else. I'd get a call from somebody that did work for years prior, and it always turned into exactly how much money I needed to make to be good. And then I was able to just kind of work, live life, do whatever, take care of everything else because at the same time my wife was pursuing her career in school and all that. So I'm able to take care of everything else that I told her I would so she could focus on that. So everything just always worked out. And then it got to the point to where I was like, okay, I think it's time that I want to really expand this and blow it out of the park. That was the extent of it. I was like, that's the plan. I want to grow it, have a bunch of employees, and it's all going to be super easy. Less than 2 weeks later, I got a call from a guy that I had done work for in about 2 years, or work with in about 2 years, and he said that he had an opportunity getting into a different sector of my industry that I'd kind of been back and forth in every so often. Wasn't anything I was really crazy about because it's a completely different way of going about it. And that turned into picking up some extra work to me taking over something, and I had the opportunity to grow it into what was needed. It took a couple of months because I had to learn along the way of figuring out the best way to do this on top of finding the people and doing whatever and kind of building everything up. But within 6 months, I went from starting out with like a test run of the work to within 6 months, we were doing $200,000 a month. I'm able to employ multiple people and pay them very, very nicely. I'm able to help take care of other people's families, and the work steadily comes in. I don't have to search for anything. The entire time is I don't have work just falls in my lap. So if this section gets slowed up, which is normal because it ebbs and flows, once it slows up, just like the last time, it slowed up and I didn't have to go search for anything. I didn't have to do anything. I got 3 calls back to back with some big jobs that I was able to get my guys on and just carry over. And then it picked right back up into doing whatever because I don't have to search for it. I don't have to work hard for it. Everything's able to just flow. And that happened within 6 months. I mean, in June is when it started for our peak busy season, and we went from doing like lower 5 figures a week to upper 5 figures a week in a week. And my guys were paid exponentially more. I was able to make exponentially more. The jobs were a lot easier. We weren't fighting tooth and nail to make it all happen. It just kind of happened, and it just kept snowballing. Like, oh, what about this? Can you guys take care of that? Yeah, we can. We're good with that. We can take care of this. We can take care of that. We built a lot of really great connections. We did a lot of work, and then everything slowed up because I put the awareness on it that because I listened to outside forces saying that it's not going to last at this capacity. It's not going to do X, Y, and Z. You have to go about it a certain way to make sure that you can cover yourself when it all dries up because it's going to dry up. So I put the awareness out there that at some point it's going to happen. And guess what? It happened. And just as quickly as that happened, I was able to kind of revitalize this, and we were right back to doing middle 5 figures a week. And now even more opportunities are popping up elsewhere in the industry just to kind of take it to the next level because I've set the intention that this is where we're at. This is not where I want to be. This is where I want to be. This is where we're at. And guess what? It's all aligning. But I mean, I've literally, that's just one example. I've done that with everything. And it's just because I got out of my own way and I realized, like, hey, the only thing that's holding me back from all of this is me because I get in my head sometimes. And since I'm aware of it, I can stop it dead in its tracks and kind of reinvigorate the opposite. And all that does is just keeps the cycle going of everything working out. And that's all you really have to remind yourself is that you are in total control. Your reality is whatever you decide it to be. If you want to put it out there that you have to work extra hard for X amount of time for stuff to happen, then yeah, that's how it'll be. If you want to put it out there that the less that you work, the more money you make, and the less effort that has to go into it, the more money you make, yeah, that's how it is. It's all about awareness. It's all about identifying with it and believing that this is how it is now. And anytime that negative voice pops up in your head, tell it to shut up. Tell it to fuck off. However you want to go about it that makes you feel better, do it. And then over time, that voice will get silenced. And once it's silenced, it's a crazy feeling because you stop questioning yourself. Because there's no sense in questioning yourself. We have the power to do whatever that we want in life and create whatever we want. It's not even really creation anymore. It's just selecting. Just like I've got on my arm right here, create your reality. I still live by that. You do create your reality, but you create it by selecting it. So it's kind of altered just a little bit, but it's something that I've lived by for 20 years now, and I'll make a video on all of my successes and all that stuff and everything that I manifested because I manifested some wild shit. And I mean, I'm only 30 years old, and I've done some insane stuff and had some insane opportunities that a lot of other people will realistically never be able to get. And I've been able to learn and meet and do all kind of different stuff. I've been able to meet a bunch of people that I never thought that I'd be able to meet. I had mentors that just kind of fell into my lap that were some incredible people. And it's all because I didn't question myself. You have to kind of get delusional with this and have an ego about it. And I know that ego is bad because your ego kind of keeps you where you're at. But at the same time, having an ego is good because if your ego is just saying, like, yes, everything just works out for me, I know I'm able to help everybody and anybody possible, that's the type of ego that you need to have. Because if you've got that type of ego that you can solve all of the answer, or you have all of the answers, and you can solve the problems that you want to solve easily, and it doesn't take away from you, and it's no extra effort, then yes, of course, have that thought about yourself, because that's the key. Um, but I mean, ultimately, at the end of all this, to wrap all of this up, you're overcomplicating it. That's all you're doing. You're getting in your own way and you're overcomplicating it. Step out of the way. Realize that it's as easy as you want it to be. Anytime that you are working on yourself and you hear the negative, tell it to be quiet. Reinforce it with the other way. And remember that all you're doing is just reminding yourself. That's it. That's all that this is. Once you set your intention the first time, that's the only thing that matters. After that, all you're doing is reminding yourself. And it's that simple. This stuff can happen at the drop of a hat. I've seen it happen. Some shit that really makes no sense, amounts of money that make no sense, has just happened, because you also have to remember logic is right out the window. But yeah, I mean, it's that easy.